Hey everyone, today we're diving into a piece of wisdom from one of Aesop's fables that is, believe it or not, incredibly relevant to our lives right now. It's all about what we choose to value and the hidden dangers of vanity. So let's get into it.
At the very heart of this fable is a really simple but powerful conflict. It's a metaphor for a choice we all face probably every single day, the battle between our antlers and our legs.
And this really boils down to one fundamental question you can apply to just about anything. Are you prioritizing what looks good or what actually works? Let's see how this plays out in the story.
Okay, so here's the core idea. On the one hand, you've got the antlers. They represent ornamentation, status, all the things that are beautiful and super impressive to look at. On the other hand, you've got the legs. They represent pure utility, the functional, maybe not so glamorous tools that just get the job done. One is for show, the other is for survival.
So where does this powerful metaphor come from? Well, it's from an ancient story, one of Aesop's fables called The Stag at the Pool. And it's a classic tale of self-deception that honestly has a ton to teach us.
So picture this. A majestic stag is hanging out by a spring, checking out his reflection. And he is just completely captivated by his antlers, this grand, beautiful crown on his head. But then, his eyes drift down to his legs, and he's just filled with shame. He sees them as these thin, weak, totally inadequate things.
And get this, he's actually saying this out loud. He sees his legs as a curse, a flaw that totally messes up the perfection of his antlers. His entire sense of self-worth is wrapped up in his magnificent crown, and he completely misses where his true strength really is.
And then, everything changes. In an instant, that peaceful, reflective moment is completely shattered. The scent of a predator hits the air, and suddenly, the time for posing is over.
And this is where the great irony of the story just hits you like a ton of bricks. The legs he hated, they spring into action, giving him this incredible speed, his only shot at survival. But those magnificent antlers, the source of all his pride, they become a trap. They get tangled up in the branches, slowing him down, and, well, you can guess the rest. The very ornament he loved becomes the instrument of his own doom. So what are we supposed to take away from this tragic story? Let's decode the symbols here to really get to the deeper message of the fable.
The parallels are pretty direct, aren't they? The stag, well, that's us in our moments of vanity. The antlers are those flashy things that look great but can actually become liabilities. The legs, they're our undervalued but absolutely vital strengths. And the panther? Yeah, that's the unavoidable crisis that life eventually throws at all of us.
So, here's the crucial point, the main takeaway. When things get real, when the panther is on your heels, appearances do not matter. Status doesn't matter. Only one thing does. Functional utility. What works? What will actually save you? Okay, so that's a great ancient fable. But how does this apply to us, right here, right now, in our world? Let's explore some examples of your life, your antlers.
This table lays it out pretty clearly. In our personal lives, right? The antlers could be that luxury car you bought on credit, while the legs are a solid emergency savings fund. In our relationships, it's the difference between chasing those high-status connections versus nurturing deep, loyal friendships. And professionally, just think of a company spending millions on a flashy office while totally neglecting the research and development that actually keeps it in business.
And you know, we make these choices because we fall into some really common mental traps. We get blinded by what looks good. We just fail to see how our favorite antlers can get us stuck. We dismiss simple, strong solutions because they aren't glamorous enough. And maybe worst of all, we let the mirror, what other people see, dictate our self-worth instead of our actual real capabilities. So how do we fight this tendency? How do we get better at this? This last part is a practical toolkit to help all of us choose utility over vanity.
Let's start by just reflecting on some of the key lessons here. First, maybe the beauty we admire can also be the very thing that traps us. Second, maybe the qualities we're kind of ashamed of are actually the most critical ones for our survival. And finally, we learn that maybe running, taking action, is way more beautiful than just posing. Salvation comes from function, not from form. And from that reflection, we can start to build new habits of mind. Think of these as mantras you can actually use. I value utility over vanity. I trust my foundational strength and practical skills. And I gotta say, my favorite is this last one. I run with gratitude for my legs. It's all about actively appreciating those unglamorous things that truly support you. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? This is the ultimate test for what truly matters in your life. Don't ask what's going to impress people. Ask what will save you when a crisis hits. That's how you know what's a real asset and what's just an ornament.
And so that brings us to the final question, and this one's for you. Take a second and really think about it. What are the strong, practical, maybe unglamorous legs in your own life? Your skills, your habits, your relationships that you need to stop overlooking and maybe, just maybe, start valuing today.